So, when you worked on the film Mary Poppins, what was it like playing Dick Van Dyke's double?
Well, it was okay, but every time they called me in to do a scene, I couldn't go out straight away because I had to put all the makeup on. Although I resembled Dick Van Dyke to some degree, I couldn't dance like he did, of course. And but, the resemblance was quite good actually when I was younger, but of course as you get old, and but I didn't do too bad. Yeah, it wasn't too bad at all. Money was good, you know. I mean,
How much did they pay you? 50p an hour?
oh no, it was more than that. No, we had subsistence and a food allowance and those sort of things. It's quite good. I was probably on about £400 or £500 a week just for being a stand-in, and it was a lot of money in those days. But of course, it was after I was in the Navy, and I think the Navy helped me quite a lot actually.
We'll talk about your Navy days at another point.
Pardon?
We'll talk about your Navy days another time, but thanks for telling us that little story.
Oh well, I mean, loads of stories about Navy days. I could go on quite a while. I mean, I was on the Vigo, for instance, in the Mediterranean, and we'd gone out to do an exercise where it was a simulated attack on a submarine or a U-boat, and we got out there to a designated area, and only the people who were doing the depth charge attack were on the quarter deck where all the depth charges were. And of course, all those who were on duty, it was more or less in areas where you was on like a gun. I was on a multiple bofer on the upper deck, quarter deck, so I had a good view of what was going on. Anyhow, they started the attack, and they fired 10 depth charges in all, and of course 10 depth charges was makes quite a big bang, and in the process of the explosions, it fractured a couple of pipes on the smoke maker, which was acid, and there was acid spraying everywhere, and the deck where all these people were, there was no chance of hiding anywhere, and they were trying to run away and turning their backs on it. So eventually, what happened was we got out of the area of the depth charges, and then when the captain saw the state of the crew, there was acid burns everywhere, terrible, and he must have gone full speed ahead back to Malta, and on entering Valletta Harbour, he must have, well, I wasn't up there so I don't really know, but suddenly the ship heeled over to port as he did a hard over, and then we went through the boom area and he did a hard over to starboard, and believe it or not, after that event they called him Hard Over Franks, and his Captain Franks his name was. This is true, by the way, all true. Of course, he'd already radioed ahead to Beagley Hospital, that's in the Valletta, and there was the crew standing by to take all the casualties, and there was about 14 or 15 of them altogether, and the burns were absolutely terrible. And I was up on the top deck where the guns were. I looked down, and one Wrighty was running along. As he was running along, his shirt was smouldering, and his shoes were burning, and he was in a terrible state. And I think that was the one who was in hospital for about 4 or 5 months, and most of the crew were there months and months, you know. And, I think quite a few of them got discharged because they were no longer fit for their duty. So, but
You were very lucky that you weren't there.
well, I was lucky because where I wasn't nowhere near it. But I could see what was going on. It was horrible.
Yeah.
The burns must have been absolutely horrendous. Burns and the suffering that they did. Must have suffered terrible while I was in hospital. I don't know whether the outcome was, because I was drafted off the Vigo after that, and I went into the submarine service, and I spent quite a lot of good time in the submarine service. So well, that was just one episode, and it all boils down to the fact that the captain of our ship was known as Hard Over Franks, and that's why he sent the ship hard over one way and hard over another way. And when I say hard over, it was. And he must have been doing about 25 knots through the boom. And then normally they crawl through there because it's so narrow. Anyhow, that's about it really.
Thanks for sharing that one.